Dear spectators, ladies and gentlemen, this is a channel TV Light, TV Svetlo, TV MOBA. Here we have a very special guest, which is the object of my interest. We are here in the home, in this lovely balcony of famous doctor Milorad Stefanovic Blumenau. I have particular reason to talk to him, but I will announce that later. You will hear something even from his personally. So, will you present yourself, Dr. Blumenau, Milorad Stefanovic Blumenau, will you present yourself and will you share who are you to our spectators? Thank you very much.
Well, this is the first time we are talking in English, so it's on behalf of my good friend Danko. It was his idea, so I'm going to do my best. Maybe my English is a little bit rusty, but nevertheless, I'm honored that Danko found the time, and Mr. Bekic also the time to have this talk, this conversation, this time in English, because as most of the people who will be looking at this know who Danko Vasovic is, probably one of the most, if not even the most famous journalist in the world. Therefore, nevertheless, being my friend or not, I'm very honored that he was eager to try to talk together about a certain issue that affects every living being and every man on this earth, as in the past, but especially today and in the nearby future. So,
thank you so much. Just one thing, I want to emphasize one particular thing. My own personal reason why I decided to talk to Dr. Blumenau is that after several decades of his own personal research in medicine, biology, he came to very, very disturbing conclusion. He made diagnosis that all activity on earth, what companies, what people are doing, lead us and are centered to total destruction of human being, destruction of a man, and of course lead us to destruction, to disappearance. Is this correct, Dr. Blumenau?
This is absolutely correct. Maybe I should introduce myself a little bit more detailed. I, as Danko probably made you understand, I'm a doctor of medicine, MD, as they say in England or in the USA. In my family, this art, it was an art centuries maybe ago to be a doctor. Maybe today it's different.
In short, several generations.
Several generations, yes. So it was pretty obvious to me that it makes sense to finish med school as well. Well, going through the knowledge you get on the university, after finishing it, you get a lot of information, as you can imagine. I had this feeling that the whole thing doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't make that sense that it should make. And the sense that it should make is that people should get well and be healthy. And it didn't look to me at all that the medicine is designed to be like that. So after a while, I withdraw after a couple of years working in medicine. I withdraw, and I took the time, a decade and even more, several decades maybe even, to take a look at medicine through all the publications that were available, and believe me, they are all available. It's just a matter if you want to take a look at them or not, and if you understand them or not, or do you have the time to do it or not, or do you want to make money, or do you want to seek the truth. So I obviously took the other way, and after maybe 8, 9 or 10,000 different publications that are in the field of regeneration, I got the picture of what is necessary for the body, for every living being, in fact, to regenerate itself, so to heal itself. So is it necessary to use pharmaceuticals and medicaments in order to change some parameter that shows that you have some illness, for example high blood pressure, or should we go to the root cause of the blood pressure? The root cause of the blood pressure is an inflammation, not only in the vessels, it's a general inflammation of the whole body, including the brain every time. We're talking now about blood pressure. And so maybe we can, my thought was maybe we can eliminate the root of this inflammation, and in doing that, lower not only our blood pressure without chemistry, naturally to lower our blood pressure, and to lower or cut off all inflammation in the body. So the question was, is inflammation the root cause of every disease, of every immune disease? Every immune disease is probably people think about arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. Maybe they think about some other illnesses, Crohn's disease or whatever. But you have to know that every disease in his roots has an inflammation. So cancer is also, because there's inflammation, there is also an immune disease. You can call it autoimmune or endoimmune or exoimmune, it doesn't matter. It's an immunolog problem. The immunology is not in harmony. So it's disharmonized immunology, and you can trace it to the brain who has an inflammation. So myself, as I said,
immunology is very much out of balance. In other words,
out of balance. Immunology is out of balance, and therefore you have inflammation and diverse different so-called illnesses. Today, the official number of illnesses in the world is around 550,000. Imagine, you have over 500,000 official diseases. So you have to ask yourself, is it possible that we have over 500,000 different diseases, or is the whole thing maybe much simpler, and you shouldn't know how simple it is, and therefore you make up over 500,000 different syndromes, parameters you follow, and you give them different labels of diseases. So maybe it's much simpler, and the only thing one has to do is to take a look at the body, and with the technology today we have in our hands, we develop, we exactly know what the body needs of elements of the Mendeleev system, oligo-elements. We exactly know which molecules the body needs, and these are usually hormones from plants, plant hormones, and we exactly know what the body doesn't need. It shouldn't be in the body, and we exactly know what to do about it, and what are the parameters we can look at the body with today's technology, that the body is healing again. I will name only 2 parameters at this point. You have to look at your mitochondria, if they are well or not, and you have to look at the number of mitochondria. Do I have 250, 300, or do I have only 100, which alters the way the organism gets his adenosine triphosphate, ATP, his fuel, and altering the way the organism gets its fuel, you don't have enough fuel, and you have a cell where there is an acid environment, and as soon as you have an acid environment, you change not the genome, you change the dynamics of the genome. So the dynamics of the genome is something that is dependent on the environment the cell is living, the environment. So for example, if you take people who are from Africa and who are born in Africa, and you count their glands for sweat, for example, you see that they have 1/3 more glands for sweating per square inch or square centimeter than people in Europe or in.
That's adaptivity is the cause.
The adaptivity. So
for centuries, even for a couple of thousand years, they live longer in Africa, and adaptation of that kind of the Homo sapiens was much better for heat and for conditions in Africa, and that is normal. But Dr. Blumenau, let's establish just one specific thing which occurs my attention and which is very important to me. How come it happened? How come that you came to the conclusion that activity of companies, corporations, even in medicine, leads human mankind to destruction?
You need to alter the dynamics of the genome. This was the first step. For example, when you take a couple from Africa, it might be some Boer who's white or some guy who's black. It doesn't matter. If you take those people and you bring them to Europe, for example, and they conceive a child, and the child is born, this child has 1/3 less glands, sweating glands, than their parents. So it happens in only just one generation. On the other side, if you take a couple from Europe or the northern hemisphere, and they go to Africa, for example, and they conceive a child, this child has 1/3 more glands than their parents. So they have the same genome. It's just the dynamics of the genome that changes. This is the adaptivity you just mentioned, and it happens very, very fast. You don't have to wait for generations. It happens within one generation. And what the industry
is
doing, not only the pharmaceutical industry, every industry in the world, and we can go and taxative name them and show
specific areas of the life and everything.
Yes, we can do that, and we can show how it affects negatively the dynamics of the genome.
Human body in all.
And if the genome is affected, so it's not in harmony, then the cells are not able to regenerate properly. And if they don't regenerate properly, you get inflammation. And when you get inflammation, you get all the illnesses you can imagine.
And this is what I like, I must tell you this. This is what I like about Dr. Blumenau. Look at this, you heard Blume, he's my friend, and I established a long time ago, whatever we are doing or discussing, he showed to me that he possesses very much quantum mind. So he is analyzing the things on a quantum level. That's quantum mechanics, quantum physics. He goes deeply into the cell, which is basic block or foundation of every living being species, including man. So the point is, Dr. Blumenau, I know that you personally tried to save, and you did make success, even in some lost cases of the people who were heavily, let's say, ill, even having cancer, even cancer 4th degree. Can you tell us something more about that? What are you doing on this quantum level, on the level of, this time not subatomic particles, but on the level of cells, their cells, and precisely about these little organs like mitochondria?
The first time it came to my attention that this could be possible when I think it was 2015 or 16, speaking with 3 professors from which 2 are from Israel, from Tel Aviv, who were in a private session, we were talking, and they told me, I must admit after a couple of glasses, or shall I say some other measure.
So you've been
beer.
drinking something.
Yes, we were drinking some beer, and so they got relaxed, and we were talking almost 3 hours, where they told me about their success in curing cancer, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. And I won't go into that now, what they were saying. I will say what you asked me in my words, but their success rate was a 99-point-something%. So this
which degree of cancer?
Even stage 4 cancer.
Even stage.
99%.
They have 99%
point something
of healing people.
Of healing people, enabling the body to heal itself. That's what they're doing.
Fully restored.
Fully restored. It doesn't matter how old you are, if what kind of cancer you have.
And what is the secret? What kind of medicine they have? Do they have?
Well, the point is, what they were doing what was necessary to lower or to annihilate the inflammation of the brain, and one of the things they were using are some compounds of cannabinoids. So this is one of the things they were using. I'm not sure that these cannabinoids are necessary, because today we can look at other parameters that the body is healing itself. We mentioned the mitochondria. So we can look how much ATP molecules one mitochondria is producing. We can take a look if a mitochondria is old, how much radicals they are producing, which is not good, because they're stealing electrons from the healthy proteins that you need in order so that cell and the organism can function properly.
Please, direct question.
Yes.
How can we heal the damaged mitochondria?
Yes. Well, one has to be mindful of the fact that a baby in the West, whatever that means, this Western civilization, so that might be even in Russia or China or whatever, when a baby is born, when a baby is conceived at the beginning, and when it is in the womb, the baby, when the baby is in the womb, most of the things the mother has in her body go through the placenta to the child. Most of the things, not everything. When the baby is born, it has over 230 different elements and the molecules, most of them are synthetic, that have no place in a living organism.
So, Dr. Blumenau, if I understand you well, there is, even from the second, number 1, from the birth of a child and the baby, there is more than 200 different components. Can we consider them that are not wished, that are enemy of the normal body, or what? What are we talking about?
Well, we talked about mercury. Mercury shouldn't be in the body at all. But you see, when you eat fish and the seas are polluted, you get mercury. So there's mercury, not only in fish, in other processes of technology of preparing food. Are things inside that are poison to our body. If you buy, for example, grapeseed oil,
you see on the label grapeseed oil, and grapeseed oil is great. It has wonderful hormones inside which are good for our body, but in order to get grapeseed oil from the seeds of the grape, you use hexane. Well, hexane is inert, it doesn't do anything to the body as it is, so it's C6H14. It's a simple molecule, but when it goes through the liver, it becomes cancerogenic. It alters in a cancerogenic molecule. So now the FDA, or in Germany the Robert Koch Institute, or here in Serbia the ALIMS, or whatever, in England. So these institutes, some of them are private, some of them are so-called state institutes. They say, well, we don't have a problem with hexane because hexane isn't a poison. Well, it isn't a poison, but when it goes to the liver, it becomes a poison. So they don't look at that. You have in plastic, and I guess a lot of people heard about it, PCB, polychlorobutylene. So they say, so what? It doesn't matter. Well, PCB, when it goes through the liver, it becomes estrogen. So do I need some extra estrogen as a man? Does a woman need exogenic estrogen for any reason? I mean, I guess you know the answer. So,
please, just 1 second. It's I don't want to say you are overqualified for normal people to understand these elements, but just to make a closer look and to make a better approach to ordinary people, are you saying that every human being, every creature, every baby is born with these so-called enemy components in the body and with its organism?
More or less. If you go somewhere in India, far away from a city, where people are preparing their food themselves, well, there's less technology, so I guess you have less poisons inside this food. So it's not everywhere the same. I'm talking about the westernized civilization, about the civilization we know as it is, and these are the facts. We have, when the baby is conceived from two cells, this cell differentiates into 220 different cells, so that's the number of different cells every human body is composed or made of. 220, not 2 million, so it's a small number. You can memorize 220 different cells, and they have the same genome, of course. And so these poisons, these hormones, these molecules, and these elements, they directly influence the dynamic of the genome. And influencing the dynamic of the genome, and even some of them are destroying the genome, you get ill.
Yes.
You get ill.
Dr. Blumenau, do you think, or are you absolutely convinced that activity of big companies and corporations and the way how people are living are centered and goes and takes us to destruction? In other words, is it the kind of entropy that got incredible acceleration that we are going and moving, literally to say, towards the black hole, to the self-destruction? And is there any chance for us, in other words, even for humankind, to be saved? And what we have to do? Thank you.
I'm not kidding at all. So this civilization, I don't consider it as ours, as yours or mine, or maybe even, well, let's leave it at this point. This civilization we are forced to live in, has certain rules. And the primary rule is very simple. there's a natural order, and the rule is you have to how you say it in English, you have to rule, you have to set rules by thought, by doing something, in order to
you mean the strict rules to follow?
you have the rule is that you have to manipulate the natural order. The idea is
You want to cheat, you mean?
the
universe.
They say
The law of nature.
You want to cheat the law of nature. They say we do it better. Okay, we improve the laws of nature,
Which is a terrible mistake.
which is obviously a
And that's a
terrible
deadly
mistake.
Mortal
Obviously, because
mistake.
people are ill and getting iller and iller
And are dying.
and
Much prematurely than they should.
And their consciousness, because the brain is also a tissue with various cells, it degenerates.
Well, wait a second. Are you saying that they're poison our mind with the purpose?
With the purpose to narrow our perception, to narrow our perception, so you cannot think clearly and you're not able to recognize the truth. If you're not,
And that is what they want. That's their goal.
If this is their goal, then they're able to make you a slave. Think about it. Is anybody able to enslave anyone if he's of a sound mind and if he's aware in which ways you are narrowing our mind, our brain, narrowing our perception, so that we cannot perceive the truth. We cannot recognize the truth. You see, we are always taught and live in an environment where it looks that it cannot be any other way. Our brain is thinking. Our brain is thinking, and it makes some conclusions. So, if a brain is thinking and makes some conclusions, you need time. You have an idea, you get ideas, you get information, your brain starts to evaluate those ideas and comes to a conclusion. So, between that is time. So the brain is functioning in time. So thought is in time. But when you perceive the truth, then it's not the brain, it's not the intellect. Then it's
What is that?
Then intelligence is actually.
That's a good point. What I know is that the intelligence is the glory of God.
Yes.
So, if that is a starting point, which obviously is, do you think what we witness and what we face is ongoing strategy? Do you think that is true? So-called Kalergi plan of
the guy who was in Japan.
Exactly, and to minimize the number of human population. What we have now is 7 billion. Do you think this is what's going on with all this situation with vaccine, with all these tons and billions of pharmaceuticals that we are poisoned? Do you think that this Kalergi plan really exists and that the big companies and corporations are working on that?
The plan is older, a lot older. It's millennia old, this plan. So he was just able to adjust the plan.
To summarize
for the 19th and 20th century, having the knowledge of the technology we then had, and now we achieved even greater technology. So he just adjusted this plan for the century he was living, and now we're in the 21st century, and now the technology allows and is in place and is used not only to change the dynamics of the genome, now you change the very genome itself. For example, if you use the genetic modified organisms technology, then you use certain enzymes, proteins, enzymes, which allow you to put a genome sequence into the human genome, 23 chromosomes, pairs of chromosomes, inside, which could never be inside, the sequence could never be inside of the human genome on a natural way. And it's even worse, because our genome, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes, all right. This means we have a sequence of only four different nucleate bases, so they are called. Adenine goes always with thymine, and cytosine goes always with guanine. So you have this ATCG, you have 3.5 billion, or for the Americans, 3.5 million of these sequences in 23 chromosomes. So it's not such a big number if you think about it. I mean, you have twice as much people on the Earth. You have 7 billion, and here we're talking about 3.5 billion. So, and you have a living man. So one wonders, how is it possible that you have a living being like Danko or us or you who are listening to that with so little information, because even my mobile phone.
You mean in our chromosomes?
Yes, we only have 3.5 billion miliarde of
information.
So it's a very small number. I mean, we are talking about. Help me. Mega is a million in bytes. And
million is a million,
and million is mega,
billion is a milliard,
is giga,
giga, yeah,
giga, is that right? Okay, so
right.
So this is nothing. I mean, your telephone has more information than you have in your chromosomes, but it gets even worse, because we have approximately 12 to 14,000 microorganisms which are living together with us, like saprophytes. You have difference on the skin, you have difference in your intestines, in your body, and well, if you take their genome as well, then you have 100 times more genes than only the human genome.
Dr. Blumenau, please.
So you are just 1% human,
I agree,
and 99% you're a melange
actually,
of different
even
microorganisms.
Less than 1% we're different from chimpanzee.
Yes.
Even less than 1%.
Yes, yes.
So it's all the same. The question for you is, can human race and can we be saved already caught in this mortal grip of wrong decisions, wrong activities, and wrong activities of those who lead from humanity, mostly based on corporations and the big companies?
It depends on your standpoint. What is wrong?
The wrong is if body suffers, if the body is damaged, if the health is damaged, that is wrong, in my opinion.
Of course.
So that's my starting position. So if that is jeopardy, then tell me how we can save our bodies which are damaged, and you establish with the purpose, they did it with the purpose, how then the man on a single level, micro level, and on the biggest scale, humanity and the mankind can be saved in this life and the world which is incredibly in danger.
If you take a rodent, for example, and every time he smells a grape, I mean, this is a true experiment. Rodents don't have any problems with grapes, and they are not afraid of grapes. But if they get an electric shock, then when he gets the scent of grapes, his body reacts, his cortisol goes up, he's in a panic modus, even if he doesn't get an electric shock because he's adjusted to that. The interesting thing is when you look at the children and grandchildren of this rodent who experience an electroshock every time when he smells grapes, well, his grandchildren also have a shock. So it's epigenetics. You change the dynamics of the genetic of the grandfather and it goes to the grandson or great-grandson because...
So you will inherit these qualities.
Yes, so you have the same genome. I mean, the genome
already
is not altered.
That is qualitative change on the level of chromosomes.
But there's a qualitative change in the expression of chromosomes. Now, the funny thing is, or the good thing is, with man, that a man is able to think abstractly, to have an idea, to play with ideas.
The only difference between us and monkeys.
And with animals, in Serbian you say, for example, for life you say život, and for animal you say životinja. 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 Životinja means life is tingling. So in that way you can maybe, if you use the Serbian language, you can make a distinction.
Dr. Blumenau, my question was how to save body and the health of one person and of mankind which is in jeopardy.
So, because the man is able to think abstractly, you can become conscious of that. Whatever your father, great-grandfather or great-great-great-grandmother lived through, if you become conscious of that, the dynamics of your genome gets a reset to the natural order. So you're not helpless like a rodent.
So we have to take another course.
So you have to be aware
first.
Of that. So then
to bring the decision.
And then to bring the decision, you have to be aware, and then to bring the decision that everything that is...
Then we have to change the habits, how we are living.
We have to change the habits, we have to change the environment. Because right now we are
destroying very much.
We are in a toxic environment. So it's not just the food. For example, you don't have to use pesticides, herbicides and insecticides for food. You don't have to do that. But if you change the genetics of the food, and the food, for example, cannot do anything chemically to say to the insects, go away, and the food, for example, does it, the plants do it with aspirin. A lot of acetylsalicylna kyselina, and so the insect said, okay, I won't eat this plant, but now we change the genome of the plants we eat, or give to the animals to eat these plants, and then we eat the animals, whatever, and so you have only 1/6 or 1/10 of aspirin that this genetically different plant.
It's a kind of natural aspirin.
It's a natural aspirin, yes. And so the insect said, okay, I don't mind this little aspirin, so I will eat the plant. And then you need an insecticide, for example. So this is in every plant with every enemy, predator, that goes to eat the plant you want to have for yourself. So it's very easy to do that. And
but maybe not so easy if Bayer, like a big pharmaceuticals company, has a plan to increase the profit of its medicine.
Yeah, this is another thing when we are talking about food. Now, we have 7 or 8 billion people right now, they say, on the planet. One has to know that the land which is used to generate, not to produce. You produce a dead thing. You cannot produce a living thing. So you how you say?
You're cultivating.
You're cultivating, for example, a living being and the space on the planet Earth that is used currently for food is 1.47 billion hectares.
Which is not so big.
So it's 1.5 billion hectares.
For 7 billion of people.
So just think about it. Is it possible that 1 hectare, or this might be maybe 3.2, you have to multiply with 2.8 or 3.2 to get acres, I guess. So you have 100 meters times 100 meters, which is 1 hectare, and you have that 1.5 billion times for 7-8 million people, and you really want to make me or anyone believe that 1 hectare is not enough to feed 5 people.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, that's very funny.
Yes.
If you have a malad sense of humor.
Right.
So
Right.
So this is just not possible.
So are you optimistic we can save our generation, our people, and the mankind, or are we inevitably going through the black hole that this entropy takes us with incredible acceleration? Because entropy is from order to chaos. We are close very much to this deadly chaos because we suffer so many diseases. The health of the people is damaged. They cannot restore their energy. People are dying much, much younger than they should. And for example, we have our own experience being a country that was bombarded so much intensively with this empowered uranium. The percentage of the people who got cancer is incredibly high. 5 times more than it was a decade before.
If it's true what I'm saying, and I'm asking you not to use your intellect, use your intelligence, and recognize if these words I'm telling are true or not. Look at your family, look at yourself, look at your life, and then you recognize if it's truth or not truth. The answer is, and the solution is unbelievable simple. It's very, very simple. First, you have to be aware of that what we are talking about. Then you need to have the knowledge to know what technology is used upon us or given to us that alters the natural state of the body to regenerate itself. So you need to know the parameters. I can tell you about the parameters, but this would take a long time. But I can tell you 2 things. You count and you look at the mitochondria intracellular, which are not organelles, organs of the cell. This is a completely different being, a bacteria, which is in symbiosis with us and has a totally different genome that we have. So you look at them and you look at a structure in the brain.
But realistically, doctor, please,
no, this is
interrupting you. How this realistically can be done and applied into daily life? My question was very simple. Please try to answer me clearly and simply. Can the single person can be saved and healed, and on big scale, macro level, mankind can be saved as we are caught in this grip, mortal grip of this entropy, which is from the order very close to the chaos, got incredible acceleration, and we are dying much more, much sooner than we should. We are facing the wars, chaos on the earth. Can mankind be saved or not? Simple answer. Are you optimistic, or you think tragedy, incredible tragedy is ahead of us? Thanks.
There's nothing that must be done, but there's a lot of things that should be done. When you say I must do that, then you're under pressure. When you say I should do that, then your mind is clearer. So one has to be aware what should be done. To answer your question, it's very simple. Every technology, are we talking about architecture and the materials we use? Are we talking about the utilities we use in our house? Are we talking about what we wear? Are we talking about the food? Are we talking about telecommunications? Are we talking about altering the albedo with the chemtrails they are spraying all around the world? It's very simple. Every technology that is used, new technology that man even invented, must go through one prisma, one filter. And this is the prisma of, does it hurt the life, our health, or doesn't it? So you need, in every segment, is it telecommunications, food, or architecture? Doesn't matter. Producing what we wear, cars, whatever. You need a man, a person, or a team, better, an institute that says, look, this is detrimental for the health. We don't use this technology. Well, then they say, well, if you don't use this technology, then we don't have enough food, or we don't have the telecommunications. This is a lie. We can have telecommunications which is zillion times more efficient than this technology if you know how to do it. We can have 100,000 times more food if we want, which is not detrimental to the health, which creates an environment for the cell, because when you eat something, you create an environment for the cells and the cell itself. You say, okay, these are the parameters that we look at, and if they're all right, which means the cell has no problem to regenerate itself.
Dr. Blumenau, please, are we going to the black hole, to our destruction?
Definitely.
Or we will prevail?
Definitely. So if we are not aware of that,
chance.
We have no chance if the civilization we live in is on the same ground which it is now. Now we are on the ground, well, we use this because it's not very good, it might be bad for the health, but the benefits are greater. This is the brain thinking.
You mean wrong? Dead wrong.
And this is wrong.
Dead wrong.
So it's dead wrong. So it's very simple. Everything you do, everything you project into reality is either not detrimental to your health, to your cell, and enables you to regenerate, which means that your mind is not narrowing.
In other words, your words and what we are discussing can be helpful and can help only on single basis to some people and persons who will understand this and who will apply your advices in their daily life.
So we need to be aware that it's that there is no life in future, and in a very narrow future, I will say, if we don't recognize that the civilization of man must, if man is to survive, must be in the dynamics of natural order. It must be
in harmony.
In harmony
natural order.
With the dynamics
with the nature,
of nature
and with
order.
The laws of universe.
So, and these are the, call it, laws of universe. We can talk about the structure of water, we can talk about fields, we won't do that, but I'm talking exclusively about knowledge which is known to mankind. Another thing is that there are very little people who are aware of this that we are talking about, and there are even less people who can show in every aspect of the industry we have, from pharmaceuticals to everything else, where is the bug. You need to be able to show the bug. You need to be able to see the law where the bug is.
There is strange things going on here in Serbia. A lot of things happens here. Actually, the things got incredible acceleration if you're talking about the entropy. Too much criminality. People are very much lost. We live in criminal society. That's undeniable feeling of all people, all rightful people, of honest people in Serbia, not the leading people who are rulers in this ruling party of President Vučić. So, free thinkers like Milorad Stefanovic Blumenau are under the pressure. So I heard that recently you've been in jail. Why you have been in jail?
I guess I was lucky to be in jail because a not small number of medical doctors of my colleagues in Germany, in Austria, in America, USA, in Canada, in Australia, and other countries were killed. Why? Because they were talking similar, the truth, as I'm doing here in Serbia. And
you're talking that they're killed, literally.
I'm talking that they were killed. Yes.
Dead people.
Dead
doctors.
This is something new, because you see, doctors 50 years ago maybe did some procedures that were wrong, but they didn't know that these procedures were wrong. But today we use in the 21st century procedures that we know that they are wrong. Doctors know that they are wrong, but they are doing it still. So today we have former we had, it was very easy. I mean, there's an army, there's a soldier that comes in.
So who is killing these doctors? In his boots,
and you know, you're under attack. One country, another country, one culture, another culture. So you see the enemy. He talks another language. He has a weapon. You see this is the enemy, and you fight the enemy. Now the enemy is not in boots with guns. Now the enemy who kills much more people than armies did before are doctors. You kill people with medicine. So every doctor has a graveyard. I know doctors who have a graveyard of several hundred people every year, and they know it. But through years and decades, you make one compromise with another compromise with yourself, and well, most of them end doing just their job, the way they were told, which, by the way, is illegal because by law.
All these people, they gave the oath, Hippocratic oath,
yes,
to help to the other people and the people in needy, wounded people, people who are sick.
Yes.
In other words, they not only betrayed the Hippocratic oath, but they're killing the people.
They're killing the people. For example, my postdoc was biomedicine. This is when you're in a chamber under pressure, and you inhalate 100% oxygen. This way you get 7 times more oxygen in the tissue than the normal way. I won't go into technical details, but this brings that wounds are healing because inflammation is going down. So when they put the people, for example, in the respirators, they had a pressure of 1.4 bars. So you have a lung that is inflamed, like your skin maybe when you pour some hot water on the skin, and you don't need a strong wind to blow into this tissue, this tissue which is inflamed, And so the tissue deteriorates and you die. Your lungs are gone. There was,
Did they knew it? That this is
of
the
course
effect?
they knew it. Yeah, because there were two hospitals in Germany, one in Aachen, one in Berlin, and this was already in May 2020 and June 2020, and the chief of the clinic, who is responsible for what the clinic is doing by German law, he said this doesn't make any sense. Let's put the pressure from 1.0 bars to 1.4, excuse me, to 1.0, and let's make more respirations in a minute. Let's make, instead of 14 respirations a minute, let's make 18 respirations a minute. So what he did, he just lowered the pressure. This is all that they did in Berlin and in Aachen. Well, the interesting thing is that usually people who are on respirators, they die because of the protocol, between 75 and 80% of the people. So 3/4 die, never get out of the respirator alive. And in these two clinics, they had a death toll of 0. Not 10%, not 50%, they had a death toll of 0.
Why?
Because there was no wind, there was no high pressure that comes into the lungs.
It was normal pressure.
It was normal pressure, and because there was an inflammation.
Such a small difference, such incredible, it's a matter of life and death.
So I expected then that in Germany, where my father was working, where I was working as well, I expected that this would be the standard of the RKI, Robert Koch Institute,
for example.
but nobody did it. Only these two clinics, and nobody talked about it anymore. So they did what the World Health Organization was saying.
Incredible. Okay, understood fully.
So it's you just kill people. I can tell you other things
yes,
they used
okay,
as well.
this is quite enough.
This is quite enough.
Evidence, absolutely. Thank you. Listen, doctor, we have ongoing story. Let's go back now to the question here in Serbia. We have the case of little girl, 2 years old, Danka Ilić, who disappeared. President of the country guaranteed that 2 persons killed her. But days and days, police and thousands of people are trying to search and to find the body. They can't find the body. Police said that these 2 men just don't want to show where the body is. Do you believe in this story? And what's going on? What the hell is going on with this country? People are talking that the children are kidnapped, that this is a regular, almost standard procedure in this country for decades, that they're stealing babies. What can you tell us? Is it true or not? And what's going on? What is your opinion about this little 2-year-old Danka Ilić? I don't know what to say. Is she missing or dead?
For people who are not from Serbia, the story goes like someone was drunk, hit the 2-year-old child, went out of the car with his co-driver, and because the child was alive, the co-driver, who was not guilty at all, he just strangled the baby, the small child, in order to get rid of it.
But who can confirm that? Who said that?
I mean, just imagine. I mean, if I'm sitting next to a man who had maybe some alcohol in his blood, and he hit a child who is alive, then I go out and help him. He's not my brother. He's nothing, and kill the child with my bare hands, so I can dispose the body.
Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, one has to ask oneself, does this make sense? Then. They said, yes, we did it.
They confirmed.
They confirmed it, but
they don't want to say where the body is.
They said the body is at this dump, and then the
so
police
how come
didn't find the
thousands
dump.
of police officers and the other people they're looking for the dead body, they can't find it, and there is only one explanation. President confirmed this is what happened. then how come that these two men doesn't want to say where the dead body is?
Well, this is the point. I mean, one has to ask oneself, why should I admit that I strangled a living child and disposed of it, and then I cannot remember where I disposed the body? I mean, this doesn't make sense to me,
right?
Any sense. But
what do you think? What really happened?
You opened a question where everybody is now talking about Danka Ilić for a week, I think, almost. In the meanwhile, politics is...
Is it a kind of a smoking gun, smoking screen to cover incredible truth in this country?
It must be, because
they gave us a present whole Kosovo and Metohija.
We are losing every day 8 to 10 children that are sold abroad. Every day.
You're 100% convinced about it.
Absolutely, I saw the numbers. So
somebody is stealing these kids.
Because President Nikolić, 2013, when he was president, he signed that 6 international private companies may buy children, which is against the Serbian constitution, where I think it's stav 44 of the constitution, 44, where it says any kind of human trafficking, human selling is forbidden. So, not
violation of constitution.
It's violation of any kind. And what did he sign in 2013? He signed that when the children who are, for example, also physically and unable, they have a problem with they're just sick, whatever, autism or whatever. Well, they can be taken into another family, supposedly, after 6 years. Well, one has to ask oneself, who wants a child that needs a care the whole time?
Right.
I mean, who wants to buy a child like that? And the other thing is, in this agreement, the president then signed, was that the child, after 2 weeks, has to change the name. So, it's very simple. So the authorities in Serbia are not able to trace what's happening with the child. I mean, there are other points as well.
With a purpose, they just don't want.
So they're
hiding.
They made a contract
with whom?
With 6 different private companies. From
you mean to sell the babies in order to get the money?
Well, they don't say.
And what is the price?
Well, it's different.
Per baby.
It's different. So the babies, children are sold between 10,000–15,000 euros till 50,000 euros, 60,000 euros till 200,000 euros.
And you are convinced this is 100% true?
I saw the documents.
You saw. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment when we should end our program and the show. I think you got perfectly clear answers. At the end, we have heard what's going on with the Serbia 2024. This is what's going on. I'm Danko Vasović, and we had a special guest for TV, Svetlo and MOBA, Dr. Milorad Stefanovic Blumenau. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Danko.
Till next time, have a great day. Bye.